Well, San Jose is a very dangerous team, and they got some guys that can really put the ball in the hole, and they have three guys that have scored over 30 in a game this year, and Seneca Knight, who's playing outstanding, coming off a 37-point performance against Colorado State, and he had another game with 31 and another game with, I believe, 30. So, and he's got great size, great length, and he's super aggressive. So, got to really be on point. They can really get it going. They shoot a lot of threes. And then just play on attack downhill. So gonna have to really guard the ball, see a ton of different types of screen and roll all night long, and they like to get out in transition. So that'll be a premium, our transition defense, and should be an exciting night. You know, it's the last game in the spectrum of the year, and certainly, like we told the guys in practice, you know, how many senior nights do you get in your career? And most of the time it's only one. And so and we have four wonderful seniors, and Roche and Diogo and Abel and of course Sam. So hopefully we'll get a great crowd. I know it's a late night game, but hopefully the spectrum will be rocking.
Just quickly about San Jose, it's been, I counted 83 days since you played them. That's like almost 3 months. I mean, they look like they're starting a smaller team most of the time lately. I mean, but they got to be a whole lot different.
Yeah, it's been, I think we played them in game 9, if I'm not mistaken, and now it's game 30. So it's a different deal, you know, almost 3 months ago, which is, I'm not sure I've ever been in that situation. But watch the game, our game at their place last year. We're such a different team. We were really, really beat up at that time. Keita, of course, wasn't playing. Kuba was not playing at that time, and it's just amazing how different we look, and they look different too. You know, going into that game, they were playing really big all the time. In our game, they started big, but they made the change about 5 minutes in the game, and they played a lot smaller. But they are playing a lot smaller all the way around. We're certainly going to see way more. At that time, they were doing more high-low stuff. Now they spread the ball, they spread the floor a lot more and do a lot more pick and roll. So it is. It's two very different teams. You watch the game to get a feel of how they tried to attack us, what we did that was successful. But you also got to be realistic because they're playing some different players as well, as are we.
Well, the Seneca last 12 games has averaged 23. So that's about as good as anybody in the league scoring the ball.
He's a really good player, and at 6'6", 190, like he's a handful. He can do so many different things, and he can really get it a home. I mean, you don't score 37 by accident. Like you gotta, in Mountain West Conference play, if you're scoring 37, you're definitely doing some things right. But Bray Ivy's a guy that can really get it going as well. Richard Washington is another guy that he's a lefty, and he just kind of does a lot of different things. But he's a guy that, you know, he makes one, and 2 and 3 are coming quickly behind that. So they put a lot of pressure on you, and they're a very athletic team. I think they had 9 blocks when we played at their place. I think they had 9 block shots, and so they come to the ball, they flow hard to it, and they can really make a mess out of the paint.
Coach, when you haven't seen a team in this long, can you go back to that previous game's film in December, or you just wash that away because it's totally different now?
Well, it's definitely different, but there's certainly some things you can look at that we were effective with this, or this we sucked at this, and I would say the same the other way. You can look at some matchups, maybe one of our guys really struggled guarding one of their guys, or vice versa, you know, and so there's definitely some things you can always learn from or see maybe, but at the same time, it is different teams. They do some things a lot better now, but so do we too. And so the different part is I feel like we are very different, just because when you don't have an all-league guy, you know, in the middle anchoring you on both sides, like it's a different, and not having Kuba too, and Kuba's starting to play a little bit more for us, so it is there's some yin and yang, but I always do like watching even the first time around. I love watching last year's games, right, just to get a feel with some things and how they try to do some things. Yeah, same coach especially, and some of the same personnel.
Is it good for the league to have had San Diego State lose?
I don't know. It's hard to go undefeated, you know, and I mean, it's incredible. that they went this long. Quite frankly, I mean, I don't know when the last time someone went this. Was it?
Indiana.
Okay. Oh yeah, total. But I'm saying even this late, like I just
well,
I don't.
Somebody went to what was it, Gonzaga or somebody went to the championship game a couple years ago and lost.
Oh, is that right? Yeah, I don't know if it's good for the league. I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, it probably gives everyone a little bit of hope. But listen, UNLV is like, don't look at that record. Like they are. We all saw them up close and personal twice. They're incredibly athletic. And they've gotten a little bit of a shot in the arm too with the grad transfer from Texas coming back, makes them look like a whole different team. And you guys know it's a 6-month season, 5 months of playing games, and you have the ebbs and flows and injuries and this, that, and the other. And you can pretend like you want that injuries don't matter. It makes a huge difference when it's the right guys, and that guy can play. And that gives them a whole different dimension. So, and they only lost by 4 at home to them. But San Diego State's very, very good. You just go through ups and downs to the season where you shoot it very, very well, and then you have some times where you're not shooting it as well, and that's just the cycle of the season. And so you obviously at the end of the year you want to be playing your best basketball, but I have a feeling that they're going to bounce back and be just fine.
You honor your seniors, I guess, before the game a little bit.
Yeah, we'll honor them before the game, right when the warm-up clock hits 0, and it's exciting because hopefully they'll be able to have all their family back. I know Diogo's mom and dad made their first trip to the States and have watched a few. They were at our last game against Wyoming, and they've been at every practicing, doing what parents do, telling why aren't you playing Diogo more? No, I'm kidding. But what a great moment for them. Those 4 guys are just fantastic people, have done everything above and beyond what we've asked, and just certainly personify Aggie basketball in so many ways, and just class acts off the floor, on the floor. I'm going to miss those guys. They're just unbelievable people and certainly fantastic players.
Well, Coach, they talk about the relationship with you, and they act like they've known you forever, and it's only your second year here, and they brag about the relationship with you. Do you get emotional? Because you wear your emotions on your sleeve. Do you see yourself getting emotional tomorrow night before the game at all?
Oh, I'm sure it'll happen. I'm trying to fight it back right now, quite frankly. That's why I'm staring at the floor and not you guys, because, yeah, it's amazing. Haven't even been here 2 years yet, and it does feel like a lot longer, but in a great way. What those guys have been able to do, and it's tough. You go through coaching changes. It's very, very difficult. Like, it's very difficult for those guys, and all 4 of those guys. Obviously Stu Morrill recruited Sam, and then so he's recruited by 1 head coach and then played for 2, and you don't know. And I give those guys so much credit. Roche was a little bit different because the old staff signed him early, and then he has his knee injury, and we could have easily cut the cord, so to speak, but we were going to honor that commitment because that's the right thing to do, obviously with the knee. But those other 2-3 guys could have probably looked to go out elsewhere, and to stick it out and be all in. That's a tough thing to do, but they've been through a lot. We've all. The whole thing, when you watch your kids grow up, first you see them, well, I don't want to say crawl. First they're just stationary, then they're crawling, and then they're walking or standing, and then they walk, and then they jog, and then they run, and then they sprint. And I think we saw all of that last year, right? And then how do you handle that next year? And with a lot of expectations, but to win 50 games in not even a full 2 years yet, with that group, that says so much about them, and that's just the basketball part. But how they represent themselves off the floor, and they're just such dependable people and accountable people, and they just bleed blue. Like they truly love Utah State, and so it's been a great relationship, and I feel incredibly fortunate to be able to coach these 4 guys.
You turned it around for Abel. I mean, he's the walk-on guy that's hardly playing at all, and all of a sudden, in the middle of the season, you just put him in. That was weird last year.
Yeah, I'm not very smart. I probably should have put him in a lot earlier. But, yeah, Abel, he's just a winner, and just has the right attitude. And, we did a speaking engagement this fall. And him and Justin spoke. And that was the one thing Abel really talked about to that big group. There was a group of over 100 people, and he just said, my whole goal, my whole life has always been to show up every day, and I want my coaches to know I'm dependable. Like, they can rely on me, they can count on me, they know what they're going to get out of me every single day, and that's what Abel is. You know, he takes a lot of pride in that. He's a vocal guy, he's a hard-working guy. You know exactly what you're going to get out of him. He's a great teammate, and he just shows up every day ready to go, and that's what was really stood out in practice. That's where we really noticed him, was in practice. And certainly we noticed him in games, but really in practice every day it was like, you know, just making plays. And after a while it's like, we got to find a way to get this guy more minutes. And once that opportunity came and once he was in the starting lineup, he just never looked back. And certainly people always remember the game when he shot at New Mexico, and that was, I think, 2 days after he had earned his scholarship. And I'll never forget that meeting with him. And that's the thing with all these guys. There's just certain things that just stand out about them, whether it's how they play or how they conduct themselves, but then personally, certain interactions. And I remember being in the office when we awarded him the scholarship, or when I told him he was going to be on scholarship, and it was just like a dream come true. That's all he's ever wanted, was just to, you know, because I think it felt like he belonged. He knew he belonged, but I think that was just that extra, you know, validation, like I do belong, and not being called to walk on. And I've always looked at it like that's a sign of respect. But we never talk about guys as walk-ons in our program, because if you're on the team, you're on the team because we believe in you, and you have a chance and an opportunity to contribute in a major way. And those guys have always done well for us, and Abel's has certainly flourished once he truly got that, once he got injected into the lineup.